Today we're going to look at how to put your jump rings on once you've created your pieces. I'll do some more tutorials on how to make the wire wraps. There is a tutorial on this one. I think it's in the playlist. It's the only one there. You will see it on the front of the video. So once you have your connection, or even just one, I'm just going to quickly show you how to put the jump rings on. I have a selection of jump rings here. Have quite a few. So take your piece, and I'll take the piece that that has a tutorial on it. So this piece here, and then you need to choose your jump rings. The necklace chain, you need to make sure that the jump rings will slip over. If your jump rings don't slip over the cord, the findings on the cord, then there is a way of doing that. So I'm going to use 3 jump rings, and I'm going to see if it fits over the cord, and it does. So I have a little jump ring to prise them open, a pair of pliers, so just flat nose pliers, and you can use a ring, but sometimes they're easy enough just to prise open. So you're pulling it front to back, don't open it outwards, just prise it to the side, and then you can slip your pendant onto the jump ring and then close it up. Now you can leave it like that, or you can put a couple of more jump rings on. I'm going to put 2 more jump rings, prise it open, slide it through your pendant and close it back up. Prise it open. This might not take 3. I think this one will only, sometimes the gap is just not wide enough. It's very tight, but it's on there, so I'll see how it falls when we're done. So make sure your jump rings are tightly closed, and then we have 3 jump rings. Yeah, and then you can get your cord, slide it through all 3 of the jump rings, and there you have your pendant on a cord. Now I sell these at craft fairs and market stalls, and they do very well. I also make crystals, wire wrapped crystals, and I'll do some more tutorials on how to make these. So I've made quite a few of these, and these sell very well at craft fairs and market. So I'm going to put jump rings on all of these and pop them all on their cords and pop them in their boxes ready to take to my craft stores. I found another way to put the camera. I'm still playing about with how to set up the camera to get a closer view. I think this might show it easier or better for you. So you take your jump ring in your pliers and you prise it from side to side. Make sure it focus, that's better. So you prized it from side to side, and then you can take your pendant and pop it on there. And squeeze it shut. So, and then take another jump ring. The more you do this, the easier it gets. At first it's quite fiddly, and if you do find it difficult, there's lots of jump rings come with one of these rings, and they have different sizes. So you find the size you want, you pop your jump ring in and you prise it open. And then pop it onto your pendant and close. And you just squeeze it between the pliers, close it together. Sometimes it doesn't close completely, so you just give it a good squeeze. Make sure it's tightly closed. And again with the third one, I'll show you with the ring. Pop the ring in and it's hard to get the camera to focus. It's quite difficult. Prise it open, pop it onto your pendant. And with the pliers, squeeze it closed. And then you have your pendant with your jump rings on. And you can take a cord, any cord. I buy these on Amazon in packs of 25, and they're quite cheap. So they're a good quality, but the more you buy, the cheaper it gets. And there you have your pendant on a chain. So hopefully that was a bit better than the first one. It's a little bit closer. So. And this is sea glass that I collected from our local beach. And you can practice on anything. You can practice on rocks that you'd find. I collect heart-shaped rocks. They're a good shape to practice your wire wrapping on, because the wire grips it, because you have grooves to fit into. But I started on practicing wrapping just rocks, and then you're not spending a huge amount. The wire I use, I buy from Amazon. I started off with not spending a huge amount of money on buying little packets like this, a small amount of wire in there, and that's an 8mm, and there was 6 meters on there. They're good to start with, and as you progress and you want to spend a bit more money, or you start making money from selling them, you can then go on to these reels. There's about 25 meters on the smallest one, And then of course as the wire gets thicker you get less meter on. So that's a 22 gauge, which is a thin wire. Then a little bit thicker is the 20 gauge, and then thicker still is the 18 gauge. So on the 22 gauge you get about 25 meters, and then it goes down slightly the thicker the wire gets. And this is about $11.99 on Amazon. But to begin with, you can start with a small piece of wire, so you're not spending a huge amount of money, and keep your scrap pieces of wire because there's a lot to practice with. You can purchase a pair of wire straighteners. It's just a pair of pliers that has bits of rubber or plastic, and you can straighten out your wire. But to begin with, you can start cheaply and practice. And the more you work with this wire, when you first start with this wire, it does feel very stiff. Some wires are softer than others, but it feels stiff. Once you've done quite a few, you've practiced with quite a few pebbles, it does become a lot easier, and your muscles in your fingers will accustom to it, and it gets a lot easier. This one I've made so that the loop is on the side, so the cord can go through this. So whereas with this one I've got the pendant, the hoop at the top facing frontways, whereas this one's facing sideways. So with this one you could put the cord straight through, but I tend to make them like this because I like to put the jump rings on this way, and then the cord goes through the side there. So if I just show you on one that's made like this, we can straighten it up a bit. So it's preference really. This crystal has holes in it, so when I make the loop at the top, I tend to make them so that they're sideways. But if you find that it's not big enough, sometimes you can make it bigger with your round nose pliers. Just prise it open a little bit, and then you can slide your, and still it's not big enough. But what I'll do, I'll show you if your jump rings are too small for your chain. You can just take the jump ring that doesn't fit off, pop your cord through your pendant or your jump rings, and then pop that jump ring back on. And then you have your pendant. Now, if you're not happy with the way it hangs, you can straighten it out. Just twist it around a bit, and there you have it. So I'm going to do a few more, and sometimes on the smaller pendants I'll only put one jump ring on, just because I think one jump ring is enough. So I'll slide the cord onto it. And that's done. You can make these up very quickly once you get going. You can make quite a lot in the space of a short period of time. Once you get the hang of it, it doesn't take long at all. I also sell other crafts that I make, other crafts that are more time consuming to make. It depends what I feel like making at the time, but I thoroughly enjoy making these. And I'll put some more tutorials on how to make them. I started making these during COVID. I learned how to make these following YouTube tutorials, and at the end of COVID I found I'd made quite a few of them, and amongst other things that I've made, I decided to start going to craft fairs. Oh, and since May, I started off at a car boot sale just to get my confidence. In selling my wares, and the more you sell of what you've made, the more you get confidence boost. And they sold at the car boot sales, and then I booked a few craft fairs. My first craft fair was very quiet. It was a quiet fair, but I made some sales. And so, I mean, in the past I've done, only 2 will fit on there. Sometimes it's a bit of a squeeze, and so I just leave two jump rings on it. Yeah, I've done craft fairs in the past that I haven't sold anything. I've actually done a craft fair this year where I made a loss. And it was quite expensive to park, so I've decided not to do that one again. Sometimes I make quite a lot of sales, sometimes I make only a few sales, but the majority of the time I've sold lots of crystal wire wrapped and sea glass wire wrapped pendants. So I've done about 20 craft fairs since May, and I've just started a market stall in a town that's close to me, and I've had car trouble, so I haven't been able to get to it for the past couple of weeks, but I enjoyed that one. It's very nice. And put those 2 to string up. And the more you practice, the better you feel, and the crystals that you feel, or even the rocks that you find, if you're wanting to sell these, don't ditch the ones that you feel you're not happy with. Pop them to one side and sell them at a cheaper price. You'll be surprised of which ones sell. I lost my train of thought because I got interrupted. So I'm going to end this video here, but I will do some more tutorials on actual wire wrapping. This tutorial was very basic. It was about jump rings, and I know people that if they're just getting started, something as small as learning how to put the jump rings on needs to be learnt. So the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be back to do some more tutorials on wire wrapping, crystals and sea glass and rocks. Thanks for watching.